Well, hello, folks. This is David T. once again for the Country Place. I know that you had been waiting for a while to hear the rest of the story with Ronnie. So, without any further delay, here he is. Ronnie?
Um,
Well, we're going to talk about the miracles.
Yes.
Let's get into the miracles.
well,
Okay.
but that's my point, is that it's been a miracle all the way through your life.
It has been. It
I
has
mean,
been.
here's, folks, I want you to understand, here's a man who came from basically poverty in Louisiana, that old portion of Louisiana, and he moves all the way up, and the next thing he's doing with his life is he's having to maybe use his fists because the people were fighting. And then he said, well, maybe I should get an education. Then he gets an education. Now, from poverty to a magna cum laude. Folks, do you know what a magna cum laude is? Look it up. I'm not going to tell you, we won't have the time. But then here he is.
Well, in math, there's not many of them who do it in math.
Well, math. Well, I can't add 2 and 2. It's 6, I believe.
Hey, David, that's not math. That's arithmetic.
Oh, that. And so, Ronnie, and so you start, and all of a sudden here you are, and then it comes to a point you've been drinking, and now somehow, some way, you find yourself low in life. The bottom of your life.
Yeah, I came out and went to work, and of course I was making good money. And I founded a couple of companies that did well. But I could only stay with them about 3 years, and I had to go do something else. I never stayed anywhere more than 3 at a job or a project more than 3 years, and then I'd have to move on. Hell, one time I fired myself after 3 years.
Did you argue with the boss?
Yeah, if I was the boss, I fired myself.
So then you have these companies, and then I understand also that you worked for a bank. Is that correct?
Well, I got involved in banking because I came up with, back in that time, it was illegal for banks to sell insurance. Okay, now of course all the banks sell insurance. Okay, and it was really, a lot of it was based on the foundation of the work that I did. And that I went to New York and belonged to, helped to organize a company called Banks and Business, and I actually showed them how to do it where you could make it legal to sell insurance products. So I worked around these banks, but also I raised money for some of these banks to get open. I was real good at raising money. I could go, get money for people to put them in invest in these in banks. And so I did that, a lot of that, and then I was so interested in the banking that I finagled around, and I had a partner who had some money, and he was also an alcoholic. Okay, and so he and I bought this bank. He didn't buy it. I bought the bank. I went and did it all. I put up my share of the money on the financial statement. He put up his, and he never showed up for board meetings or anything else. So it really was just me, And then one day I had a call from a bank president, and some people were trying to buy his bank. The people that were trying to buy his bank are written up in books. Is a guy I know, and actually wanted to go to work with him. I never did, but I wanted to. But he is listed as a man most responsible for the savings and loans collapse in America when it collapsed. That he was one most responsible, and I was kind of following his lead. In fact, the second bank I bought, the second bank was a bank he was trying to buy, and he left on Friday afternoon to go to La Costa Now, La Castillo is a country club out in California, but at that time it was a country club that most of the mafia went to. Okay, it was one of their high hangouts, and so he left that Friday. I went down on Saturday and got commitments to sell the stock to me from enough stockholders that I had controlling interest in the bank, and he was pissed when he got back. I mean, so that's the second bank I bought, and I came home. And came to my office, and I remember putting my feet up on my desk and fixed me a drink, put my feet up on the desk and lit a cigarette, and I said, "Boy, you have made it now. You know, you've made it now." That's when it just really started coming unraveled. It started downhill, and it went rapid. You know, it went rapid. I got some exciting parts of my story. I'm telling you about.
That's what that's where we are. And,
yeah, I had several friends that did prison time, and I'd go visit them. One of them, I had bought me a plane, and I flew up there to the prison, and snuck in a sack full of groceries and a quart of vodka. Now, how crazy is that? A quart of vodka, and I snuck it in, and when I came up in that cab, that driveway at prison, when I hit the back of it, those inmates ran out there and they stripped that like a field stripping a cigarette, you know, and got back in the door and got that stuff hidden. But when I walked in the prison, the place you were signed up to visit him, I came in behind the guy instead of front of him. And when I did, he knew what had happened. Okay. Wow, but he couldn't catch anything. But he was so pissed at me because he knew what had happened, you know. And yeah, I've had multiple prisons. In fact, one of my partners spent the last part of his life, and he died in prison. Yeah, he spent the last part of it. He was one of the greatest con artists in America. I mean, he was just. I mean, we had planes, we had jets, we had boats, we had, you know. We were living large now, you know, and it was really large to me coming from that 800 square foot house, you know. Wow. But that's when everything started down, you know, because the bank examiners wanted me out of the banking business, and so they started checking. Well, my financial statement wasn't really what I showed. Okay, I with a degree in math and a master's degree in economics, I knew how to manipulate financial statements and make them look better than they were. That, you know, but on mine, I just flat ass lied because I had to, you know, to get a net worth sufficient to buy that bank. And the bank examiners kind of suspicion they were about to come after me. Okay, and and these are serious miracles, you know, because I was gone to the bottom. I mean, I was facing prison time, and I knew it, and you know, it was taking all my money to defend it, so I was going broke. I had to sell the banks, both of them. I didn't really make anything out of them because I was forced to sell. But anyway, I got an invitation from the FBI to come talk to them, and jokingly I say sometimes that I did my first, fourth, and fifth step with the FBI, but that's not too jokingly. That's really true. Wow. And so I had to go to New Orleans and meet with the FBI. Now, the attorney who represented me, okay, you know, when you go in to meet with the FBI, you can't have an attorney in there with you. You can't have anybody with you, and you cannot lie to them, but they can lie to you. Wow. You know. So it's not really a fair game situation. And he told me, he said, Ronnie, my attorney told me, he said, Ronnie, do not trust those guys. He said, you cannot trust them, I'm telling you. And he was right. I told you, I don't know what I mentioned, but they stole the Rolex watch from me. And when I tried to get it back, that agent told me, he said, I'm wearing your watch. He said, but let me tell you, if you try to get it back, you'll have more trouble than you've ever seen in your life, you know. And of course, I immediately got pissed off and wanted to fight back. but after I cooled off a day or two, I figured that if all I got out of what I did was losing a Rolex watch, then I got out pretty slick, you know. So, but that's you know, I was going downhill. Then I had to file bankruptcy because I filed bankruptcy for I think it was either $3 or $4 million, and I didn't have that's after I'd sold everything off I could sell, so I didn't have any assets left. So that's about, aside all the money I had in the lockbox and spending, I had about $4 million I spent somewhere that was unaccountable, you know. And that's really what they were coming after me for. So or what they want, one of the things they wanted. So I go down to New Orleans and I go in, but I don't back up to the attorney. He was the Attorney General for the whole Western District of the United States under President Clinton. Okay, that's big. That's big. And so he went down there with me. Well, about 5 years after that, y'all, he wrote a book and talked about how he put a man on death row that was there for 23, I think it was 23 years. He was on death row for 23 years, and he knew he was innocent. The attorney, I mean, when he was the prosecutor, he put him on death row for 23 years, but the prosecutor knew he was innocent. Those guys don't care about what's right or wrong. Okay, what they care about is, can I get a prosecution? Because that's how they get promoted, is based upon their prosecution record. Okay, so but anyway, he came out and wrote the book and told him he did that, and he joined Alcoholics Anonymous, and is now sober. I don't talk to him, but he is. The last I heard, he was.
So what? So how did you get into the miracle of Alcoholics Anonymous?
Okay, we were just starting. Okay, I knew, I knew right then, y'all, that I had a real problem, you know, and I told my CPA, I said, find us an attorney. Okay. On a Wednesday morning, I get a call from my secretary saying, you have an appointment with this attorney on Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. Well, Saturday morning is a strange time for attorneys to start with. Most of them hadn't sobered up on Friday night. Yeah. I'll tell you about when I put the group health plan in for the Louisiana Supreme Court. Their greatest concern was alcoholism covered. It was treatment covered. That was the number one concern they had because of them and their children, you know. But anyway, so I had to go down to meet with the FBI, and of course they're closing in on me, you know. So I'm thinking this is it, you know. So I get there, and what they do is they offer me immunity if I will turn state's witness on a bank president that I had worked with. Okay, they were trying to prosecute him. Okay, y'all, I didn't know anything bad about him, not one thing. But they thought I knew a lot because he and I had gone to Vegas together a few times. Vegas was a big part of my life during that period, going to Vegas and spending 3 or 4 or 5 days. But they quizzed me for 8 hours. Now that's longer than they quizzed Hillary Clinton. You know, they quizzed her for 15 minutes for 8 hours, and it was brutal quizzing. But I never told them one thing that would help them prosecute this banker. Not one thing did I tell them that would help them prosecute that banker. So they had to let me off of everything I'd done in the past, everything. Okay. And because of that was the deal going in, and I told them, you know, what I knew, and of course my memory had gotten a little bad, but now no, I'm kidding. So I'm off, and I'm clean as a pin.
Wow.
It's like I've never done anything in my life. You know?
Wow.
I'm sorry, David. Go ahead.
Okay, no, I was commenting. Wow. And so here you are, free of all that. And then how did you find yourself in this miracle program of Alcoholics Anonymous?
Okay. Before I went down to see them, I knew I was in trouble. Anyway, so I told my CPA to find us an attorney. My secretary called me on Wednesday morning and said we had an appointment with this attorney. Now, y'all, the strange thing is, one of my partners was an attorney, okay? And we had an attorney working for us full time on salary in the office. I didn't talk to either one of them about this, okay? I didn't, between my CPA and I, we knew every attorney in town, just about. And why we didn't pick some high dollar attorney, well, I know now. So anyway, my secretary says you got an appointment Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, I show down. There's only one person in the office, and he's back there scrambling, doing something. And my CPA walks in, and I asked him, I said, where did you find this guy? He said, I didn't find him. He said, I got a call Wednesday morning from my secretary, said we had an appointment with this guy at 9 o'clock Saturday morning. To this day, none of us know how that attorney we got referred to that attorney. We don't have a clue, either one. That's the first. That ain't the first miracle, but that was a real miracle. Okay. So I go sit down with him and Saturday morning, and we visit for a few hours, and he comes back and he tells me to go. Take back to the office and get these things, this, and bring it to me, and let's meet Wednesday at 10 o'clock. So I showed back up Wednesday at 10 o'clock with all the things he wanted. We started going through them, and about 11:30, he stood up and said, look, he said, I feel like I need to tell you something. He said, I'm a recovering alcoholic. And he said, you have some real problems. If you'd like to get somebody to represent you, said I would understand that. And I said, well, no. And he said, in fact, I'm fixing to go to an AA meeting right now. It's noon meeting. And I just said, well, I think I'll go with you. Now, the thought had never entered my mind to go to an Alcoholics Anonymous. Second miracle. Okay. We get to the meeting. It's a noon meeting. We have a New Orleans chef who is a treatment house and a halfway house, and we had a New Orleans chef who was there, so he did the cooking. And God, we had the best food. It was so good. And I went to that first meeting, and sometimes I'm reluctant to say this because I know some people struggle so hard. But I went to that meeting, and in 15 minutes' time, I knew I was home. I knew I was in the right place. I had found my tribe,
Wow.
And since that day, okay, I have never had a desire, to this day, have never had a desire to take a drink. Never. Now, that's going through the death of my son when I was 30 years old. I didn't, never had a thought of taking a drink.
Ronnie, could you repeat that again for those out there that think that maybe they'll have a drink maybe every now and then, or maybe they have some fear that something's going to cause them to drink. Can you repeat what you said about never having another drink?
Yeah. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. And yeah, and this may be a little off, but right after I had a year of sobriety, okay, our neighbors across the street, who we were close to, they were having a birthday party for their daughter who had just turned 18. In Louisiana, 18, you can go in all the bars. She just turned 18, and they were having a birthday party at a bar, so I went to the birthday party, and that was the first bar I'd been in since I quit drinking. No, it's just the second holiday. The other one I'll tell you later if we get time. But anyway, I walked in that bar and got a smell, and just I don't know how you do that when you're not drinking, but.
Well, that's just amazing. So here, you enter AA, and tell me about your experiences in AA that has brought you where you're or in your life right now.
Well, when I did the 12 steps, okay, when I worked the 12 steps, I had a spiritual awakening, okay? Now, when I had that spiritual awakening, I could look back and see a series of things in my life, one of them being going to an AA meeting, the second one being going to the FBI and I wound up getting immunity for that. And it would go on and on, the miracles that happened in my life since I have belonged to Alcoholics Anonymous. I have a completely different life now than I had before AA. Okay. But I was going to tell you about to go to that birthday party, because I go to that birthday party and I sit down, and they order drinks, and I order a Diet Coke. They bring that Diet Coke. I taste it, and it's rum and Coke. And I say, oh shit, because I just get really. And then my wife reaches over and takes a drink out of it. She said, "That's Coke." I said, "No, that's rum and Coke." Anyway, so we made them bring me another drink. I took a swallow that second drink, and it was rum and Coke too. And I think, so I said, maybe I shouldn't sit around all this whiskey for a while. So I got up and walked over to the pool room over there, because both my boys were in there. There was a hustler guy in there, and he was hustling everybody, and I knew I was going to have to whip his ass if I stayed much longer. So I was walking back, and I walked across the dance floor, around the dance floor, and I saw this blonde out there that I knew could make me happy for the rest of my life. And then it dawned on me, God dang, I hadn't been here a little over an hour, and I got drunk, got in a fight, and fell in love. That's the story of my life, And I left there immediately and went to an AA meeting.
So it seems that AA has always been a place of comfort for you. Could I say that?
Do what, David?
Could I say that AA has been a place of comfort?
Oh, it's been the place of comfort for me, David. The place of comfort. It's growing up in public is not comfortable. And I had a lot of growing up to do, and still do. But I'm gonna continue to go to meetings regular, and to work those steps to the best of my ability on a continuous basis. Because if I stop, then I start sliding back. That's like doing this interview today. Okay. This propels me forward. The big book talks about that it's insurance for us. It really is. So I go to, I had a little business, y'all, that had failed, and so I had to shut it down. So I had a lot of time, and I was going to 3 full meetings a day. And I'll go to 2 today, but tomorrow I may go to 4. But normally, if I go to a meeting every day, it keeps me kind of on the white side of crazy, but if I don't, all the stuff that I've learned tends to slip away. So I have to go to meetings on a regular basis, and I have to work with other people, because that's where the real joy of Alcoholics Anonymous comes, is when you get to work and sponsoring somebody else, and you watch them get sober, and you watch them change, because I changed. I'm a completely different person now than I was when I got here, and I didn't do it. God did it. And that was a God that I didn't want anything to do with, because He had put me under all those conditions when I was a kid, and you know, when you're and I'm still probably so now. If you're living in an alcoholic home, you think you're the only one going through this shit. You don't realize there's millions of people out there going through it. You think you're all alone.
Well, Ronnie, I want to thank you so much for attempting. I know we've met 3 times, and every time your story just constantly fascinates me about how you started at a poverty level in life, and God is taking you walk by walk by walk, and now you found where home is. And folks, that home isn't that interesting that they say that Alcoholics Anonymous is the last house on the block. But what we also find, it's the most comfortable house on the block.
And God is everything or He's nothing, So if you don't have a God, get you one.
Thank you so much, Ronnie.
Thank you, David.
And I love you and cherish you so much, Ronnie.
I love you.
And folks, how about a nice hand for Ronnie? Thank you again, folks. Folks, this is David T. along with Ronnie. We wish you a wonderful day, and God bless. Bye-bye.